Hay gì nữa các bạn, hôm nay mình tới thăm vùng của Quebec. Đây là cái tham quan là cái chỗ này, chỗ quân đội. Ở trên này thì thông thường là ta nói tiếng Pháp thôi các bạn. Đây là mình đang ở vùng Quebec. Đây là ở Quebec các bạn. Hôm nay đi cho các bạn đi thăm vùng Quebec, những cái pháo đài. Pháo đài. Đây là cái pháo đài này. Kia kìa. Đấy, pháo đài chốt mình ra đằng kia chính ấy, nó như là phố hàng ngang hàng đào ở Hà Nội ấy. Nó ngắn tẹo cái là phố này, ngắn tẹo cái là phố kia. Đấy. Đây là công sự. Đây. Vào xem quân đội. Đi vào xem quân đội. Lên trên này là phải nói tiếng Pháp, người ta dùng nói tiếng Pháp. Mình đang chờ để người ta đưa đi tham quan. Chắc người ta phải dùng hai ngôn ngữ nhỉ, chẳng nhẽ người ta nói mỗi tiếng Pháp không à? Đây, tiếng Anh thì theo cô. Đấy, tiếng Pháp phải theo cô kia. Tiếng Anh thì theo cô này, tiếng Pháp thì theo cô kia. Đi. Viện. Cái này là viện bảo tàng đâu phải đâu. Đây. Nó xây ở trong giữa ở núi, còn nói ông mình đi ngoài là mình đi ven ngoài.
Alright, so welcome everyone to the Citadel. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Good, great. Before starting, I always like to know a little bit more about my visitors. So by raising your hand, is this the first time that you come to the Citadel of Quebec? Nice. Is this the second time or more for some of you? Nice, welcome again. So pleased to have you all today. So my name is Emily and I will be your guide for today. So to start the tour, we'll start at the very base. What is a citadel? So the word comes from the Italian word cittadella, which means a small city. So here we have everything we need in case of an attack or a siege. We have everything we need to survive for a couple of months. And so here it was built by the British Army in the 1800s because they were starting to get scared of one possible invader. Who do you guys think they were? The US, exactly. It was the Americans. So they actually tried to take Quebec City twice. The first try was in 1775 and the second try was during the War of 1812. Both times it did not work, but it was enough to get the British Army here really scared. So they started the construction of the Citadel of Quebec in 1820 and it took 30 years to finish the whole place. And in the end, the Americans actually never came back for a third try. So the Citadel was never attacked. So that's why it's still standing beautifully in one piece for us all to discover together today. And more recently, since 1920, it is now the Royal 22e Regiment that occupies the fortress. It is an infantry regiment. And also, you'll only hear me say the full name of the regiment in French throughout the tour because there's a general order made by the army to protect the name. flag up there because we will have a ceremony later on at 4 o'clock. But usually it would be the Canadian Armed Forces flag that would be flying over there. So before we start walking, and I'll tell you the rules, throughout the tour you'll see names of places written on many buildings here. For example, we have Afghanistan on the corner over there. So those are called battle honors. We have 44 in total on the site here. And those are in reference to battles in which Avengers fought in. And it will refer mostly to battles of the First and Second World War, but we also have Afghanistan, which is the most recent one, and they have one for the Korean War as well. So, since we're starting to get a lot, I will just call my colleagues, and before we start walking, we will have to split the group into two.
Đoàn chúng tôi đang theo cô hướng viên. Đến đây thì nếu ai nói tiếng Pháp thì sẽ đi một cái cô hướng dẫn viên nói tiếng Pháp, còn nếu ai biết tiếng Anh thì đi theo cô hướng dẫn viên tiếng Anh. Đây là hầu như là nói tiếng Anh thì là toàn những cái người du lịch đến đây để tham quan.
Watch out, everybody. Stick to the left side over here of the car bath.
Cái đoạn này nhà mình hơi bị đông nữa nhỉ? Cái đoạn tiếng Anh này hơi bị đông. Đúng không? Cái đoàn kia có mấy người?
Here, there used to be a wall that surrounded the building that was 6 feet high. Also, it will be a little bit smaller from the inside. The thickness of the walls is one of the precautions that they took. The walls were 6 feet as well, but in thickness, yes, that's quite something. Also, on this side, we see pillars. Those are called buttresses. We have 5 on this side and 5 on the other. In case of an explosion, these would have helped to retain the pressure on the walls to help keep it as one. And also you'll see that better inside. The arch, I'm sorry, I'm mixing my words up. The roof is made to be the weakest point. It is an arched roof, as you'll see. It's really resistant from the exterior, but if it was meant to explode from the inside, it would have been the roof that went up in the air first, because it preferred that it would go that way than on the people on the side. But you also had to take a couple of precautions for yourself as well if you had to go in to get a barrel of gunpowder, let's say. So, as you can see, there's a small black window on top of the entryway.
Coi như là chỉ bắn ở đây, bắn vào, bắn ra, chứ bên kia là không bắn được. Đúng không?
Alright, so now I think we have everyone. So now that we are inside the shooting gallery, this is now the proper place to talk to you all more about the defensive system of the Citadel. So how all this place works. So this citadel of Quebec, we describe it as a star fort that is bastion, but also in a Vauban style. And now we'll talk more about those two things. The citadel of Quebec is made out of two walls. We will talk more deeply about the inner wall first. So this is the wall that we can describe as being bastion. And so what is a bastion? It's one of the points of the star. So we have 5 bastions here in total. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so what the bastions do is because they stick out, they can all mutually protect each other. As you can see with the yellow lines, those are the fire lines of the cannons. And then in between each bastion, we have what we call the curtain walls. And so that makes the inner wall of the citadel. As for the outer wall, this is where we have one of the elements that makes it Vauban style. Who was Vauban? He was a French military engineer and he lived in the 17th century. So a while back before the construction of the place here, was the British engineer that made the plans. Elias Walker Dunford got inspired by his work. And so one of those elements are the ravelins. It's the triangles. We have 3 in total. So 1, 2, and 3.
Cũng là đi đường đấy. Đường đấy.
Each pair of windows that you see equals to 1 room, and inside each room they all have their own fireplace, hence the impressive number of chimneys that we have on top. And now, to give you a bit of a comparison, on the side of the soldiers, they stayed in the 3 really similar buildings over there, and we can count 2 chimneys per building. So you want it to be an officer. But nowadays, this building has been repurposed. It is now divided into 3 sections. The first one right behind me is the officers' mess hall. So that is where they gather to eat and sometimes share a drink as well. Then in the middle, we have the partially with the help of the battery of cannon that we have right there, we have a shooting range of 1.5 kilometers, so to help better control all of that. And here we are at the highest place of the diamond, as I said before. So we had the best view to see if some troops were arriving from far in the distance. Now, to give you some geographical cues, here we are on the north shore of the St. Lawrence. So on the south shore, this is the city of Lévis. Over there, you'll see a bridge. On the right side of it, it's Orleans Island. And then we have Old Quebec as well. And if you continue on the St. Lawrence River for a really long time.
Đây này, tí nữa mình đi xuống, mình đi xuống dưới đây này, đi cái phố kìa, ngoài biển đấy. Nắng đẹp chưa? Quá đẹp luôn nhỉ, hôm nay đến đây bây giờ nắng. Đấy. Tí nữa xuống cái quảng trường dưới này này, anh Nam này, phố đi bộ dưới này này. Hồi hôm là mình ở bên hotel bên kia kìa, cái phà bên kia kìa. Cô Hương ơi, mình ở ngay cái đầu phà bên kia kìa. Đẹp quá trời.
Take a look inside of the last cell. You'll see the mascot of the regiment, which we'll talk more about outside on the other end.
đôi đấy là ở trong đấy đấy hả? Chắc là cái đôi đấy là nhân vật cũng máu mặt ở trong đấy đấy. Đây là mấy ông máu mặt đây. Đây là mấy ông bà máu mặt ở trong này.